Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, yes, down.
Okay.
Welcome to yet another PlayStation Education. Yes. Here, of course, we talk about all things PlayStation, everything gaming related. Today is going to be one that's more general gaming.
General gaming.
Today I want to talk about changing video game culture. Now, we're not too old, but we're not too young either. We're at this nice little place where we've lived through an experience, whether through hand-me-downs or first-hand experience, a good 4, 5, 6 different lifespans of consoles.
Yep.
But games exist a lot longer than that. If you want to go back to the original games, and we're talking the 70s.
We're talking when your parents said, back when I was your age, I played with stick and mud.
I remember
Now I was happy.
I remember Dad watched me play Skyrim for like 20 minutes and commented, I played a game like this once, and it was a text-based adventure. So it said like, you enter dungeon and you see a dragon. Do you kill dragon?
Kill ye dragon? No. Can't kill ye dragon. Dragon eats you. Oh man, this sucks.
It's amazing how far games have come. But
Wait, Dad watched you play when?
well, when I was at home,
Oh, that's right. I guess you
because
did.
I had the PlayStation in your room.
Yeah.
That's when we played Monkey Island.
Yeah, it's another good game.
Great game. So continue on.
Continuing.
So when games first came out, first monetized, they kind of created their own unique culture. Now we remember this as the arcade culture. Now, arcades are still around in Japan and in very select places in the States. Here, places like Dave and Buster's.
Well, yeah, and then like when we go to like Massette and stuff like that. Places, places like that. There's
Little arcades.
Yeah, and like they like to put arcades in so they're at the main attraction. There's like kind of side things. There's a couple of movie theaters that have arcades there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's like water parks.
We'll play while you wait for the movie.
Yeah, like water parks and everything. So there's actually still a good bit of arcades in the States.
But there was a point in time where that was the only gaming culture.
Yeah, there's not as many.
So the game design philosophy at the time was to make games that weren't necessarily long, but were difficult to master and were super hard because they wanted as many quarters from you as possible.
Super duper hard.
And now the gaming culture that rose up from that was you basically had one, maybe if you're good, 2 games that you were devoted to at a single time. You had your Mortal Kombat. You had your going because that's more our time. Going back even further than that, you had your Space Invaders. You had your Joust. You chose one of them. Pac-Man, yes. You chose one of those and devoted all your time to mastering that because if you divide yourself among 5, 6 games, you're going to learn bad habits, different control schemes, it's going to confuse you, it's going to be wasted quarters. So the gaming culture sprang up was that. You had 1 or 2 really hard games that you devoted all your time and money to. Well, come along the NES. And a lot of the programmers that designed for the NES, in fact, a lot of the first games for the NES were direct arcade ports. A lot of designers came from that culture. They started making games under that, make them hard, make them difficult to master because we want more quarters out of them philosophy, even though there was no more quarters.
Quarters in their system. Why isn't it working? More lives.
Yeah, even the games didn't work that way anymore. And actually, it's made some games super hard. You had games like Contra. The game was super hard in arcades, but you could just keep pumping quarters into it. It may cost you $50, but you could literally pay to win. You couldn't do that with the NES one. After your lives were done, gone. There's no way to put more money into it. Same with Turtles. You ever played a Turtles arcade game?
Heck yeah, except for like the X-Men one.
Heck yeah, I love that game so much.
Super good.
Remake not so much. Remake wasn't very good, sadly.
Not surprising.
But anyway, they have a new one coming up within the next couple of months.
Aliens in it, right?
No. This is based on the Nickelodeon cartoon.
Good.
So Krang is an alien.
I said if the turtles were, okay? Oh. And he's from another dimension, though. He's a dimensional alien.
What else?
He's not an Earth alien.
What
doesn't make any sense. Just shut up.
I'm an Earth alien.
Shut up, Cheeman.
Anyway, so continue on. That was a culture that sprang up during the time.
Yeah.
And so for the NES days, a lot of that culture persisted. But the idea slowly started to change. Okay, we're not making games that are, ball busting hard anymore. Now we want to create games that to see everything, to do everything, it takes a long time because kids were only buying maybe 1 game a month. Kids didn't have a lot of money.
Well, like with the Sega and Sonic and everything, they kind of make sort of games like that, at least my experience, because that's one of the first ones I ever played, so I was really little, was they made it beatable, but they made it just hard enough that it was really hard for you to beat, but you can you can see yourself beating it.
Yeah.
You don't see, okay, I'm never going to beat this game. It's, okay, I've died a million times on this boss, but I get getting closer and closer, so I'm going to keep trying.
And they always put in things that there's no way you're going to be able to see everything the first time around.
Oh.
Getting the Chaos Emeralds, all the special zones, because you're going straight through. You literally don't see anything at the bottom if you're going on top. If you go down bottom, you won't see anything on top. You know, they made games replayable. Mm-hmm. They wanted you to play games over and over and over again because they knew you were only going to be able to buy one game. So you hear this game has a lot of replay value. That's the game you're going to pick up that month. So that was your Super NES, Sega Genesis gaming culture for a while. I think that's why RPGs kind of started to take off. Because you have these cartridges. For those of you who don't remember, cartridges were real expensive back in the day. They were like $60. So they say, oh, games are $60, but no. Thanks to inflation, $60 of money in the late 80s, early 90s, that was like over $80 easy. Mm-hmm. And being a kid, don't have a lot of pocket money, you could only buy, like I said, about one game a month. So you find if that. So you have this one game here, oh, this game takes 4 hours to beat. You can see everything in the game in maybe 8 hours. Or this 40-hour RPG, you're like, yeah, that's where I'm going to put my money.
More bang for your buck.
Exactly, and that created a whole different gaming culture. So we fast forward then to PS1 and Nintendo 64 era. One of my favorite eras, hands down.
I still go back and play games like that, like Final Fantasy 9, 8, even 7.
Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda. You got all those classic Mario games. You got freaking Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Snap. I mean, dude.
Great games. And again, those games... Paper Mario. Those games had a lot of replay value. You could put a lot of time into, especially when you start getting into multiplayer games and GoldenEye.
Ooh, that Kirby
Perfect
game.
Art.
The Kirby game. You could always replay that. It was super fun. And then the mini game thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That was loads of fun.
So that was the big idea. That was the big idea was get people hooked into your world. Having people spend a lot of time in that game.
Love your world.
So, what was that weird intro thing? Yeah, and Naughty Bong.
Yeah, what was that about?
We went to karaoke and said one that we don't normally go to, and they had an intro thing for part of your world where it's like Ariel talking to herself. I almost called her Belle. Ariel talking to herself, and like James and I just look at each other like, this isn't part of the song. What's going on?
And then the song came up, and we ended up getting like a 98 or something like that. So I blame that intro. I blame that intro why we didn't get 100.
We should have gotten 100. But anyway, carrying on, and so. That's basically gaming culture that I grew up in. That PS1, PS1, Nintendo 64 era. The whole gaming culture was brought up around, you don't have a lot of money. You can buy basically one solid game a month. You're going to spend a lot of money on the game that you know has a lot of replay value and get a lot of time out of. Well, we got the PS2 and the GameCube and all them. They're kind of increments. There's a lot of that culture there. But you also see a rise of something very interesting. A lot of adult gamers. Now, of course, there was adults who played video games.
Most of the time, though, they were playing with their kids.
Exactly. Adults as primary gamers sort of came up in this generation. You had games like, God of War and stuff like that. Obviously, kids shouldn't be playing.
They do anyways, though. So they do anyways.
They do anyway. They shouldn't
Stupid
be.
Kids.
Yeah, great games.
Mature.
Yeah,
I shouldn't be playing it then.
great games, but kids don't be playing those kids. So you have a lot of those mature games, but something very interesting happened. Adults started becoming the primary consumer of these games, and the interesting thing about adults is they don't have a lot of free time. Mm-hmm. The average kid could devote 4 or 5 hours a day to Sonic if you wanted to. The average adult doesn't have a lot of time. In fact, one of the best case examples of that most recently was The Last of Us. It took me 2 weeks to beat. 2 weeks to beat. It's only like an 18-hour game. 2 weeks to beat. There's just not enough time in the day. I get too much other stuff going on. And making these videos, making them internet dollars.
dollar bills. Getting our 36 views.
Yes.
Getting the 3 likes, being all excited, then we realize you have 2 channels.
All right, Gary God. Adults just don't have time anymore.
Yeah.
And so you started seeing a lot more games geared towards that in mind. You started seeing a lot of games like a great example is Uncharted. So as we moved on past that to the current gen, games that are amazing only take you 8 to 10 hours to beat. They know that the average adult is still going to take them 2 weeks to get through this thing. But they always like to pack in a little extra, whether it's a multiplayer mode, a co-op mode, something that for the people who have the extra time, they can get the extra bang out of it. But knowing that most people...
Isn't multiplayer and co-op the same thing?
No, they're entirely different modes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, and when I hear co-op, I feel like there's more than one. I don't know. I'm stupid. Go ahead. Just go.
No, there's co-op missions that are entirely separate from the multiplayer game, entirely separate from the single-player game. And then there's multiplayer, which is like deathmatch and team deathmatch.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
All right. These little extras on top for the people that do have the time.
Yeah.
Another great example of this is something like the two best-selling games right now on the market, Madden and I guess FIFA, depending where you live. FIFA and or Madden and Call of Duty and or Battlefield. The single player game, it's like 6 hours. It's short enough that the average adult can get through, and those that want to devote time to the multiplayer most certainly can do so, or most people end up spending their time. But you can just spend, if you only have 30 minutes free, you can just play a match and then you're done. These games are really being tailored towards adults who just don't have a lot of time. Now, there's still stuff packed in for the kids who have a lot of free time, or people get maximum amount of benefit from it if they want. That's basically the culture where we're at the present. You make games that, and obviously there are outliers. There's a lot of great RPGs out there. Your Skyrims and your Final Fantasies and your Valkyria Chronicles and everything else. But for the most part, a lot of the bigger games are coming out are geared like that.
Yeah. Quick
and easy to beat if you don't have time, but meaty enough to really dig into if you actually physically have the time to do so. Mm-hmm. And that kind of seems to be where games are at the moment. But things are starting to change. Now, we did this whole little retrospective on gaming culture history for a very important reason. It's because, like you said, arcades are sort of still around, but definitely not the primary way to consume games.
No.
Those big story, epic games, they're still around, but not as much as there used to be. Yeah. So right now, like the paradigm that we have right now, that might also change. Recently, there's been a huge uptick in this mobile generation. Here in Korea, you definitely can see it. Have you seen any ads whatsoever for any console games?
No.
Have you seen any for any handheld games?
Lots.
Everywhere. We were on the subway last night. Not only was the screen one a mobile game advert, the picture next to us was a different mobile game advert, and across from us was another mobile game advert. We were literally in like a little hub of...
Play this game, handheld game, get it on your phone. Meh.
And... again, I don't want to hate on handheld games. If you like them, if you have fun with them, great.
Yeah, so we play our DS.
Yeah, we love our Pokemans.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we love our Mario RPGs. We love it. We do. Now, my thing is, those games are so radically different from the gaming culture I grew up in. I grew up with your Mario 64s, your Ocarina of Times, your Final Fantasies, Paper Marios. Those are the games I want to play. Those are games I want to keep playing. And again, this is the perfect sequel for games we want versus games that are popular. I keep being afraid that if all the money is going towards this mobile stuff, what will happen to everyone else?
Well, not to mention, like, when we were talking about this earlier, you made the comment that, 100 million freaking Angry Birds were sold. And then, Last of Us. I've only beaten, like, the first little bit of it, and I'm already like, okay, this game's amazing. And that sold, what would you say, 3.9 million? So it's like, okay, this huge difference. And I think it comes down, obviously, to convenience, because playing on your phone, buying it on your phone, you can take it literally everywhere. You don't have to lug a TV and a system with you everywhere you go. And it's 99 cents download.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's way cheaper, way more convenient. So people are starting to just do what's convenient. And I can understand that. I definitely take the easy road a lot, but at the same time, it's killing us, bro. Games like this, you want them, and you don't want them to stop because people are being...
It's not that the mobile... It's not that mobile itself is a bad platform. Like we were saying before, I think what would be great on those games is a touch-based tactics game. Think like Final Fantasy Tactics. Think like Command and Conquer. Just like boop, 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 boop. You can make it super easy touch controls. Why don't people do that. Like all the games here that are really popular in Korea for those are like, these are like weird board games, or like there's a lot of RPGs, and I love RPGs, but these are all action RPGs, and this action games just don't feel right on the mobile with like the digital buttons and the digital stick. No, it sucks. That sucks.
Yeah. And then
put that as a download on my 3DS. Go.
Nah, I mean, like, the Angry Birds works because you just go like that and you fling the bird, and that works. That's fine. You got the games where you literally just like, tilt it and you have to like, steer by moving your phone. I mean, those games will totally work for it, but I agree. Getting some kind of tactic games to keep some of the console gaming alive, because you take some of those games like Angry Birds, put that on PlayStation 3. Yeah.
They actually, funny you should mention that, they did release those.
What?
For the PlayStation 3. Guess how much it cost?
$60.
Close. $40.
Okay.
$40.
Okay. Who bought it?
Stupid people.
I was going to say, like, how many?
I didn't check numbers, but enough that they're making a sequel.
Oh my god.
The sequel is just
Somebody
the
said it was
Star Wars.
Yeah, what I said it was completely stupid. But
And it's sad.
I digress. So it's not so much as convenience and being cheap. People are just stupid.
I guess that's one of the few exceptions, because it's just a big brand. Everyone knows Angry Birds at this point.
Okay, I guess
they are this generation's Mario.
That pisses me off because they can't touch Mario, man. That crazy plumber. Come on.
Yeah, but then like 20 years from now, they're gonna be talking about the Angry Birds. They're gonna be looking at the new thing and be like, "What? These guys aren't nearly as classic as Angry Red Bird and Bombird." Bombird's the man.
Hey Jerry, back in my day, I played as Little Red Plumber. You stepped on some mushrooms. Put some farmers on them.
Yes, indeed.
Sigh.
Anyways, we got super off tangent here, but okay. So, we're kind of bouncing all over the place, but basically what I'm trying to boil it down to is, I like my gaming culture, and there's a reason I like that. Yeah. But I also realize that gaming culture in the past has changed.
And it continues to change, like everything else. Everything changes. It's just part of life, which sucks. Because, I'm Lutheran, and I hate change. But really, though, I'm not a fan of change. It takes me a while to get used to it, which is one of the reasons why I never played PlayStation 3. I only have a 360, and I don't play that nearly as much as my 64. Yeah. So I'm still kind of stuck to the past, if you will. I like to see things get better. Because playing PlayStation 3 games with you, I realized how pretty freaking awesome it is, and how it took a lot of things that we loved from PlayStation 1 and 2 and made them better. But at the same time, like PlayStation 3 didn't have a Kingdom Hearts, so that's but PlayStation 4 will. So keeping with that, the Final Fantasies look, I don't know, I don't, just watching the trailers for me, even though they look pretty epic, at the same time I'm like, they don't give me the same.
I'm going to have to wait to see the story, because gameplay looks
that story was
great.
Like awesome.
Well, see, that's the thing with Final Fantasy 13. We probably got a whole conversation on that. I don't hate it nearly as much as the internet does. My thing was that at the end of the day, there was only one character I really got attached to. That was Az. That was you got the afro. No, because you have to play as all the characters.
Lame.
And then towards the end of the game, you basically get to make your own party. It's the guy with the afro with a little chocobo living inside of it. Oh. His whole story was that he was a dad, and he's trying to find his son, or get back to his son. And he was the only character I sympathized with. You have a whole cast of characters, and only one that I liked? Heck, I look at Final Fantasy 9 or Final Fantasy 10. I liked all the characters. So that was my only. That was my complaint with the games, that just give me attached. So I'm going to hold out on Final Fantasy 15 till I see how the story and world comes out. Gameplay wise, it's been handled by the Kingdom Hearts team. Yeah. So it's probably going to play just fine. So the only thing I'm worried about is the story characters. But recently, Square Enix gave a letter to the fans talking about the changes the company's going through. And basically, they talked about how they need to find new ways of generating revenue. And that while they're still planning on making those AAA games, a lot of their teams are going to start focusing on mobile efforts. And the first game to come out for that was Final Fantasy All the Bravest, which is probably the worst game ever to carry the name Final Fantasy. Basically what it is you pay to buy characters.
Lame.
And then how you play it is you tap on a character and it attacks. And then you have like 50 characters, and you just have to tap 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 tap. Then the enemy attacks. Then you go tap 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 tap, and the enemy attacks. Tap 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 tap, and the enemy attacks. You wiped out half your party. Well, you can either wait a day and have your party resurrected, or you can pay now and play again. And it's like, it's the Farmville of awful. And so when you see stuff like that, and you see this company that is so important to our childhood, that heck, my top 5 most anticipated. We'll probably do this list sometime. Top 5 most anticipated list of announced next generation games. 2 of them are Square Enix games. So why are they putting so much money and effort into making these little crappy mobile games that obviously no one wants and aren't very good?
Sorry.
And are doing
because they're trying to go where everyone wants. Is the mobile stuff. It's like
games we want versus games that are popular. It sucks. But anyway, this is just my little passion plea. There's no real solution. All there is I'm going to continue to vote with my wallet, continue to buy the games that fit the definition of games I want to play, continue to support the systems and the things that seem to be offering the kind of product I want. And hopefully it works out. Hopefully there's enough people like me out there that even if it become niche, even if it's only 30 million people that buy the PlayStation XCOM 17 years from now, hopefully there's enough passionate people that keep those things alive that I can still find some solace there.
Hopefully,
Lord willing. Any closing comments?
Why is Angry Birds so popular? It is so simple. Like, I have fun with it too, but it gets boring way fast. It's nothing new. I mean, levels make it a little harder or whatever, but it's nothing really that new. So why is that? Like, again, it's like we talked before, the comparing thing.
Yeah.
It's like the Twilight or the Ben Roethlisberger. It's just like it's sold so much. It's held up so high that's why it's such crap comparatively. Again, I enjoy it. It's fun.
By volume, it's the best-selling game this generation.
Exactly.
And you play that, and you play Last of Us and Borderlands and Uncharted, and you're like,
why? Oh well. Convenience, I guess.
Well, I just won't understand. I won't understand you casuals, you dirty, nasty casuals.
I never understand this generation.
Neighbor. I've become the video game equivalent of the old man. Get off my lawn. I don't want you. Where's my water? I'll tell you where your water is. It's off my effing lawn. Anyways, talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye-bye.
We got some crazy old man voices going on up here.